These cables and the yarn together, they're making the warmest fabric. And I've done one of them. I don't know the difference between left and right, so I'm not going to try. My next to last is a whip that I was never supposed to cast on at all. And once I had started, there was no turning back. Hi, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Lene and I'm a knitter from Norway, and welcome to my knitting podcast. Here I talk about all things knitting, current project, finished projects, planned projects, yarn, anything that falls into my head while I sit here and chat with y'all. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with me today. I really can't believe it's already been a week since the last time I podcasted. This week has just flown by, but I do have a bit of knitting to show for it, and this week I've just kind of gone crazy with all of my whips. I think I tried to count before this and I think I counted to 7, which is a lot of whips. I'm really excited to show and talk about them all, but before we get into all of that, I wanted to talk a little bit about what I'm wearing, and today I'm wearing one of my favorite sweaters, and hands down the sweater I'm the most proud of having made, and that is my Porcelain sweater. I made that earlier this year in January. It was the first knit I made myself this year and one of the first knits overall, and I don't think I can say it's been my most used because I am kind of afraid of messing it up or ruining it, getting any spills on it, so I am a bit careful of when and how I use it, but it's high up there among my most worn knits, and I think it is my favorite among them. It's really hard to choose a favorite of your knits, but there is something about this sweater. It just gives me an amazing feeling to wear it. I can remember how amazing I felt knitting it up. Just all of it is amazing, and here she is in all her glory. It is an amazing knit. I'm so happy with this. This was my first dive, and I think so far my only dive into more challenging color work. It's only 2-stranded, only 2 colors, but it was my first time doing color work on the purl side, which was terrifying at the time, but with some trial and error, a lot of error at the start, I did manage to get through the whole thing, and it felt so good and so like such an accomplishment to have made this sweater. And every time I wear it, I'm just like, wow, I can't I made this, like, wow. Of course the design is stunning. That's like all props to the designer. That's where most of the work is, but also that I managed to do it just fills me with pride every time. And I'm also really happy with the colors. I know everyone did in white and blue, but I'm really happy with my shade of blue. I think it suits the white perfectly, and I also love this color. It's amazing, so that's great. And it's also the perfect sort of oversized. It fits perfectly. I think out of my sweaters, this is probably the one that's closest to the actual intended size. I usually struggle a bit with my gauge and hitting it, but it seems like me and Lene Holm Samsøe, which is the designer, have pretty close knitting, what's it called? We have pretty much the same gauge on the same needles, so I'm really happy with the fit of this as well, and how well the different borders also line up. I was a bit stressed about that. I did try it on a couple of times before starting this one just to see, but of course you don't exactly know how it's going to be when it relaxes, but I'm so happy about it all. I love this sweater. I can't really put it into words, but knitting it up, finishing it, wearing it, it's all just amazing, and I truly recommend the Porcelain sweater. It intimidated me for so long. I had the yarn in my stash for so long until I got the guts to cast it on. But it honestly wasn't that bad once I had cast it on. I did frog quite a lot, and I did have to rethink and redo lots of things, but it was all worth it. It was a great learning experience, and it really wasn't as bad as I had thought it was. I thought it would be impossible and take me 5 years. It didn't, and it was a really fun learning experience, even though I had to frog. So if you want the porcelain sweater and are willing to put in the time, I would highly recommend it, even if you are maybe not as your first sweater project, but even if you're a beginner, I think you could do the porcelain sweater if you watch videos and if you are willing to knit and then frog and knit and frog and just learn as you do. I think it's very possible. It's not the most complicated color work. You do have some places here where there are quite big leaps in between the colors, but if you just try to catch your floats, I think you should be fine. So honestly, if you want to make it, you should. It's great. And then the one modification I made is to do these borders in the same color as the color work. I decided to do that because on the sleeves, not on the body, as you can see, that the ribbing here isn't that long. But on the sleeves there was such a large segment of just white. On the body, where you can see there are segments of just white, but they're quite short. Here and here they're short, and that matches up kind of well with the ribbing on the body. But on the sleeves, to make those long enough, you have quite a large portion of just white. So I decided that I wanted to tie in blue at the end again, just to make the whole sweater work a bit better together, and yeah, to really tie in the blue with the sweater, and to also not make this white segment just seem mile long. And it is a really tiny detail. It's not super noticeable. I don't think you'd think about it if it's not pointed out, but it's one of the favorite modifications I've made to my knitting. It just brings in a little pop of colors to the sleeves, and I really feel like it ties in the color work really well, especially here where there is so much white. I don't think it would have really been a deal breaker on the body, but I really like that subtle change, and it also was really motivating at the end to knit in the different colors, see my progress more clearly, and especially on the body with all the stitches to see my progress. That was really fun. So that was a great modification, and honestly recommend it if you're doing the porcelain sweater or any other sweater with stripes, or if you're doing a sweater with stripes or color work, to tie it in at the end. Now that I've done it on this one, I really regret not doing it on the more size sweater I have, which also has a really large portion of white at the end. I wish I would have had a black, what's it called? The ending made that black. The border, a black border at the end. I just feels it brings the little extra touch. But that's enough for me blabbering on about the porcelain sweater. I could talk about the porcelain sweater forever. Love the porcelain sweater, love Lene Holm Samsøe's designs. I'm drooling over multiple at them right now, but let's move into what I've been doing this week. And first off, as always, we'll start with the wedding dress. And I don't have as fun an update this week as last week, because last week's update was really fun because I had done a lot and I'd tried it on and I'd finished something. Those updates are always more fun. I think so too. But I actually have at least something to update you on this week, because I did get a bit of motivation last week, and I know that I need to actually start working on the wedding dress more regularly now, because we are nearing in and I don't want to stress at the very end. I do hope to have it as my project until the end, but I don't want to stress about it. So I want to have gotten to a point where I know that I'm fine. So I did work on it a bit this week. I decided to work on the mohair skirt. This will be my main focus going forwards, because if I try to split my time in between everything I'm planning to knit, I won't get anything done. So for now, this is my focus. This is where my time on the knitting on the wedding dress will go. And I think the easiest kind of goal to set myself each week is to knit a skein, or in this case 2 skeins, because it's double-stranded. So my goal going forward, and also this week, is to knit a skein a week on the wedding dress, and I did so this week. Here is the little stitch marker I put in. I don't know if you can see it. Here is the little stitch marker, and then I made all of this progress there. That is quite a few centimeters. I'm going to just measure it to see. What's fun with the mohair skirt is that it progresses so quickly. It is 15-16 centimeters actually, so that's a good amount of progress. I think if I keep going like that, the mohair skirt will be done in 2-3 weeks, I think, which is another reason I chose the mohair skirt, because it's going to be finished quite quickly, so then I'll get a new motivation boost, and it's also the easiest way to figure out the length I want, because it's what's going to work up the quickest. But yeah, if I continue like this, that's probably going to be done in 2 to 3 weeks. It's a lot of fabric. It's really huge, even though it's mohair, but it's still really lightweight. I really think it's going to be great, and hopefully I'll be able to reach my goals of knitting that much each week. But I did notice this week as I was knitting that it does really affect my hand. I have been knitting on different needle sizes, and I figured out that my hands do pretty well up until 7mm, but the mohair skirt is on 8mm, and I'm happy with the look that gives, but my hand really can't take needles that big. It's okay if I knit in like chunks, or I knit a little bit here and there, but usually when I knit, I just want to zoom through things. Especially with the mohair skirt, because you see so much growth all the time, which is motivation to just keep knitting. So my hand often ends up hurting a little bit, and oftentimes I don't want to stop then even. So the days I work on the mohair skirt, I get a lot done, but then I can't really work on it for a couple of days. So going forward, I need to find a better method to that madness, to be able to work on it more like jevnlig, just like a little bit all the time instead of a lot sometimes, hopefully. But I think I should be able to do a skein a week, and yeah, then we'll be done soon, which I'm really excited about. I think that will also help me figure out the beads. I have tried to think a bit about it this week, but I am just worried that doing more beads will be a lot, because with the mohair and the mohair also having color, it's already a lot to look at. So I don't want it to be too much. I kind of want it to be plain, but also not too plain. And the main wedding dress is still really plain. So if I'm to take off the mohair, both the mohair skirt and the mist sleeves, which I'm likely to do because mohair is warm, and then the wedding dress underneath is really plain, so I don't know what to do about that. But I think I'm going to wait until everything's finished to figure it out, so I can kind of see it all together and make up my mind then. But that's where we're at with the wedding dress. Not an exciting update, but I'm doing something which I'm happy with. Could be worse. And then my next project, my next oldest project, is also unfortunately not a very exciting update, because I've done nothing on my sweater number 20. This is a pattern from Myfavouritethings.knitwear. It's a super fun knit, but I'm knitting it with my friend. We're trying to knit at kind of the same pace, and at some point I kind of rushed ahead because I got really excited, so I finished the front yoke a good while before her, and then then I started knitting in around of the body a good while before her, and then I finished the collar a good while before her. I think she has finished the front yoke now, so I'm still waiting a little bit on her to catch up. I'm probably going to bug her a bit about it this week, that she should knit more on hers, because I'm really excited to knit more on mine. it's been really fun to knit together, so it's been worth it to have to wait, because seeing each other's version, we're working it up in 2 different colors but in the same yarn and the same size, so it's been really fun to see the 2 different versions work up. We also have a bit of a different gauge because she's a loose knitter and I'm a tight knitter, especially when it comes to structure, which this is heavily structured, so it's been really fun to see them work up kind of next to each other but over pictures. But now I am really excited to move on. I might just move on anyways this week because I want to work a little bit more on the body so I can try it on. This I'm working up in Drops, Alaska, that's the name, and my color is sand and my friend is knitting it up in chocolate, I think, or some sort of dark brown color, and it's looking so amazing. I'm almost a bit envious of her color, but I also really like how well you can see the cables in this color. But as I said, I really want to try it on because, as I said, I am a tight knitter when it comes to structure, and that has bit me in the ass before, and they've turned out a lot more true to size than the oversized that I want to. This still looks like it will be oversized when I hold it up next to me, but my goal or hope this week is to be able to put in an extra skeins worth of work on the body here. I guess that would give me 5 to 10 centimeters. I guess I haven't worked that much in the round, so I don't know how much yarn that eats, but just getting a few more centimeters would make it a bit better to try on, because then it would be more representative of what it would actually be like, so then I could try it on, which I'm so excited about. I really want to knit this now because it's getting colder outside, and these cables and the yarn together, they're making the warmest fabric. I'm also just excited to be able to wash it and wear it, because this is my first time working with Alaska. Right now the yarn is quite rough. It's not super rough, but it is quite stiff, and it's not, I wouldn't call it soft, but it's not like prickly or anything, so I am excited to see how much it will relax once it's washed and how much it might pill in wearing and everything, because I have never worked with this before. So I'm just really excited about all aspects. And then I also just really want to get to the sleeves soon, because those I'm really nervous about. First of all, you're supposed to pick up stitches, which I know how to do, but I don't know how to do it correctly, I don't think, because every time I do it I end up with the wrong amount of stitches. One thing is for the collar, there I don't care if it's wrong, I'll live with it, but for sleeves, and especially these structured sleeves, I'm pretty sure it's going to matter a whole big deal. And I think because these are so structured too, that the structure is supposed to hit at like very specific places. So I'm a bit stressed about that. I honestly just want to do it and be done with it, so I don't have to think about it anymore. So I really want to get to it now, just to be able to put it out of my mind. So I'll have to bug my friend a bit so we can continue working on this, but yeah, I don't really have anything to say about what I've done this week about this, because I have done nothing, but I am very excited to continue working on it, and hopefully next week I'll have an actual update to come with. But for now, just look at how pretty it is. I'm really excited, and I'm also excited to try it on because I've been unsure about the color for me, if it's going to wash me out, and I think it's so hard to say when it's skeins or when it's like this. It's easier when it's actually on, so also excited to see that, but I'm going to wear it a lot either way, and I think it's a great color for the structure. So that's my second whip. And then my third one, going in order of when I cast them on, is my Dagmar. She's been my main project since I cast her on, but this last week she's been among my main projects because I've had so many, but I've definitely spent a lot of time working on her. Let me just try to figure out everything. I think last week's podcast we were on the back yoke, and I don't think that was fully finished even, but it is now. Maybe I was 2/3 of the way done last time. Now it's all done. I love the way it looks. I love the drape. Drops Nepal has, which I'm knitting this in, has even before it's been washed. It looks and feels great. And this feels more soft than I would say the Alaska does, even though they're quite close in gauge. I guess that's because of the alpaca. And then after I finished the back yoke, I started working on the front and the shoulder and just the front panel here. And I've done one of them. I don't know the difference between left and right, so I'm not going to try. But I've done this side, which kind of went without a hitch. Probably made some mistakes and had to frog some, because that just comes with the territory. I'm a bit bad at reading patterns. I just skim through them and move on, and my pickup is a bit weird and I forget to do things, so probably had to frog a bit, but I can't really remember there being any issues with this. And then the last thing I've done is to move on to the last shoulder. I'm not going to say if it's left or right, I have no clue. But the second shoulder, and here I've had more issues. I'm pretty sure I did something wrong with the pickup the first time, and then I'm pretty sure I did something wrong when I established the pattern, because you have to think the other way around as to the first shoulder. So I struggled a bit with working through that in my head and not just doing the same as on the other side, but those were just some start struggles. Got through that and then moved on. But for the neckline, this is an O-neck. I don't know what to call it, but it's not a V-neck and it does not go straight up either, so I'm going to call it an O-neck. It's my first time doing that, and on this side the shaping for the neck was really easy. First you do increases and then you cast on some stitches using a method I don't know the name for in English, but it's you do loop stitches or something. You cast on as you work, and on this side, on the shoulder, those stitches were at the end of the row, so it was really easy to do. But when I was supposed to do it on this side, those stitches were at the start of the needle, and I don't know how to do loops at the start of the needle, so didn't know how to do that. So I really stopped there, thought about it a bit, and then I decided to do the loop cast on the purl side before I was supposed to do it. So first I did that and knit a couple of rows, and it was okay, but I didn't love the way it looked because it was quite obvious that I'd knit one row more on one of the shoulders. And I also realized a couple of rows later that I had also cast on the wrong amount of stitches, so I had to frog either way. And when I frogged, I just decided to do something I never thought I would actually decide, but I decided to cut the yarn, making more ends for myself, and just cast on regularly, because then at least I would have the same amount of rows. I don't know if that was what you were supposed to do. Usually I think Petiteknit is really good at her patterns and she explains really well, but I looked through the pattern. I might have just skimmed over it because, as I said, I am not great at reading patterns, but I tried to look through and I couldn't find anything that suggested how you should do it on this shoulder, so I just did it that way. And I'm not looking forward to weaving in the ends, but I think it looks better. But that did give me a bit of a dip in my motivation, so I haven't worked that much on this, the second part of this week, but I am excited to work more on it. It's really starting to look like something now, and I've told myself that once this shoulder and front panel is done, I'll get to try it on for the first time, which is really exciting and quite nerve-wracking because I have struggled a bit with Petiteknit, especially her structured patterns, to get them as oversized as they're supposed to be, because a lot of them are supposed to be oversized, like the Moby and the Ingrid, and now this. They're supposed to have a good amount of positive ease, but for me they don't really. So For this one, I've even decided to size up one size. So I'm knitting size large, so that should help a bit with my oversized issue. And I did make a gauge swatch, which hit gauge. I'm pretty sure I'm a bit bad at measuring gauge, but I'm pretty sure it hit gauge. But I'm also pretty sure that I knit in a different tension when I'm knitting a garment than when I'm knitting a swatch. So I'm excited to see. When I hold it up to me, I do think it looks oversized. Maybe not as oversized as it should be, I don't know. But so far it looks promising. I'm really excited to try it on to see if it actually is as promising as it looks. But that's kind of where this is at right now. I've also finally put the stitches for this on stitch holders. I had all of the stitches for everything on the same needle until yesterday, I think. And this is just a 60 centimeter needle because my 80 centimeter, interchangeable something. This part where you screw the interchangeable needles into, my 80 centimeter one is busy, so I only have the 60 centimeter one. And it was crowded, it was getting hard to knit at all, so I just had to move them to a stitch holder, and I love that I did that because now I can see them way clearer and them kind of laying flat, and I love the look. And the more I look at it, the more happy I am with it. I love the drape, I love the yarn, I love how soft this is to the touch. I love the color, which is perfectly dark for like the dark cozy months, but also you can still see the pattern, which that was exactly what I hoped to accomplish with this yarn. So now I'm just super excited to continue working on it, and hopefully I'll have more time and motivation to work on it now that I'm over that hump with the shoulder. But yeah, that's my progress on that so far. And then the next one, as I said, I do have many whips. The next one is my sitting mat. I don't know if that is the completely right translation, but it's like you felt it and then you take it with you when you go outside in the woods or something. So you sit on this instead of on the forest ground. And I made one before for my son for his first birthday or first Christmas or something, which we use a lot. I love it. And this is the same. It's the free pattern from Sandnes. But this time I decided to just go with the recommended number of stitches for the cast on, and then instead of casting off when I should have probably around here to get the same size as my son, I'm going to turn this into a family size one. So usually everyone has their own. They're like they fit one person on them, but my goal is to get enough scraps to make this long enough to fit the whole family. So this is probably 1/4 or 1/5 of the length I need it to be, and I've already used up all of my scraps, but I'm just going to keep it on as a whip, and I will probably keep getting new scraps in these in this gauge, this thickness of yarn. And usually with this thickness of yarn I don't know what to do with my scraps because I only knit like bigger projects using yarn like this. So I think this will be great, both if I have scraps from the Dagmar or scraps from the sweater number 20 or scraps from other projects like that, they can go straight into here. And I love scraps for everything because now I can go back and remember my projects. This yarn is from a Selma sleepsuit I made my son. This is from Sophie shawls I made for Christmas gifts this year. This is from my fiance's zipper sweater. This is from my father's zipper sweater. More from my fiance's one. More from Sophie shawls. And this is from the Colorwork color for a pair of mittens for my son. So I love that I can go back and remember all of these projects through here. And yeah, this will probably be a whip for a really long time, but it's probably not going to get featured every time. I think since last time I think I had this part here, maybe also this part, but I've added 2 more scraps here and this one. So I've gotten some progress done this week. I don't think I'll get anything done next week, because as I said, I don't have more scraps. I need to finish projects before I get more scraps, but I think it will be really nice to have. And we have 3 of these now that fits one person each, but if we're going out to the woods with multiple people, like other families, we don't have enough. So I think this will be a great supplement to our sitting mats. And it's also just a fun, easy scrap project. And then my next project, that is the first new project since last week. And that's a project I have been trying to pay a lot of attention to, but it's also hard to pay attention to it because I have to keep it hidden, and that is the Melange sweater man that I'm trying to knit for my fiancé. I have gotten a lot of good suggestions on how to hide it, but it's just really hard to hide it because my fiancé pays a lot of attention. I've gotten suggestions to just knit it in front of him and he probably won't notice, or play it off as it being to someone else or it being a different project. But my fiancé pays a lot of attention to what I knit. He either asks what I'm knitting on, or he can already tell. I am a pattern repeater, so with everything in the Anchor series, for example, the Anchor series from Petiteknit, he can tell like, oh, that's Anchors, like, and also when I knit my version of the Melange sweater, he could tell like, that's the sweater you made last year for our son. So I'm pretty sure he could tell, and of course I could say it's for someone else, but I don't think he would believe me, since I know that he loves matching and he knows that I love family matches. I don't think he would believe a matching sweater is for someone else, and he would notice almost immediately. So I've decided to keep it hidden for now. If he does notice at the end, it won't like ruin the gift. It's still a great gift, but I think it would be really great to also be able to surprise him. I don't know if he knows or not. He might know and I'm just fooling myself, but I don't think he knows. I've not been knitting on it while he's home, or if he's been home, he's been asleep. And I cast it on, I think 5 days ago, because when I started I had 20 days to go and I have 15 counting today. So honestly, only 2 weeks to go. One of those I'm going to have probably a lot of knitting time, because then at least he won't be here, so the knitting time I have I can use on this. But when I started, to be honest, I did not think I would be able to do it, because I don't have that much knitting time when he's gone, like a short period in the evenings and mornings and after he goes to bed. So I didn't really think I could do it, but I have been able to do a surprising amount this last 5 days or last week. The back yoke is done. This is the back yoke here, and then I've picked up shoulders and done both of those and connected them. It's a bit flimsy and it rolls up a lot, so it's a bit hard to show, but I've done, I think, 2/3 maybe of the front yoke, so I think one more knitting session, a good amount of, where I have a good amount of time to actually knit. I'm ready to join in the round, which feels like a huge accomplishment. Once I'm connected in the round, I won't have to do any more purling, which should mean that it speeds up, and sleeves are also in the round. I'm probably going to do the neckline before I move on, because I've just run out of yarn, and then I can just do the neckline now, so I won't have to think about it again. But it does feel like it's progressing really fast, but I also know that earlier this year when I made my own Melange sweater, it took me 2 months or something. That was also because I was working on other projects at the time, and I think I was also in a bit of a knitting slump. But that did take me 2 months, and now I have 2 weeks. But I think I should be able to do it, since I made that much progress already, but still a bit unsure, but more hopeful now than I was last week. But that is my little update for now. I've also told my fiancé he's not allowed to watch the podcasts for a little while because he usually does to keep up, but he's not allowed to right now. So that might have tipped him off, but I don't know if he knows why. But yeah, that's the Melange sweater. And also all of this is knit using just one of each color in Flora. So Flora is a really long-lasting yarn, and I think this is going to be a really lightweight sweater, which is also going to be nice. It's also the same colors as this, which is really fun. But yeah, that's the Melange sweater. It's also on stitch holders right now because I had to steal the needles because it's on 4mm needles and I use that a lot. And I don't need this to be on needles when I'm not able to work on it anyways. So I'm stealing the needles during the day and they're getting it back during the night. But that is my Melange sweater so far. I thought it would be more stressful than it is, but so far I'm not stressed. And since I'm also only able to work on it for a little portion of the day, I try to not think about it for the rest of the day and only stress and think about it the little portion I'm able to knit on it. I think that also helps. So I kind of concentrate my stressing. But I think I should be able to do it based on the amount of progress I've been able to make now. And then my next whip, which is my next to last, is a whip that I was never supposed to cast on at all. I didn't think I would cast it on, but then Ursula asked me to do a knit along for the Celeste. She was going to do a Celeste and she loves knit along, I love knit along, and she wanted me to join, so of course I said yes because I love knit alongs. They're so amazing to feel the community. I just love them. So then I had to figure out what kind of Celeste I was doing, and I knew I was going to make one for my son because I don't have the yarn for one for myself, even though I do want one, but I don't have the yarn and I'm not trying to get more yarn right now. So I went looking through my stash trying to figure out what kind of yarn I would get, and it was really hard to try to figure out. I had to find a base color which I had enough yarn of, and that would also go with other colors, and then find 4 colors that went with each other and the base color. And I could not figure it out, so I thought when I started the knit along and made a group for it this week, I thought I'm not going to be able to cast on for weeks, at least 1, maybe 2. So I wasn't stressing about it. I also have a ton of other projects that I should prioritize, like the wedding dress, like the Melange sweater, like Christmas gifts. So I thought that's going to happen sometime in the future. But I couldn't stop myself from just looking through my stash, looking at colors, putting them together. And then yesterday, kind of out of the blue, I figured out a I don't know what to call it, a match of colors, a order of colors, a batch of colors together that I thought would look okay. And instead of like putting them next to each other, instead of making a swatch, instead of anything like that, I of course decided to cast on. That's the only way to know if it's going to be good or not. So cast on yesterday, and I did modify the neckline because you're supposed to do Italian cast on and then just 2 centimeters of ribbing, that's it. I didn't want that. I thought that's going to be loose immediately, so I decided to do a folded over collar, just regular. I don't know how many centimeters I did, but I wanted it to be folded over to be more secure. And then I started doing the color work, and once I had started, there was no turning back. I thought I would just do enough color work to like see all of the colors, get through all of the colors, see them together, see if it was a good match, see if the order of them was good. But once I'd done that, I could not stop. So I ended up going to bed at about 1 a.m. with a hand that was hurting a little bit, but a finished yoke. So I don't know what it is with color work, but it's just so addicting. It's impossible to put down. I don't know, but Colorwork for me, I can't put it down. And here are the colors I ended up with. The base color is chalk in Lima, and then the Colorwork color number 1 is red in Flora. I can see up here and throughout, and then Colorwork color number 2 is jeans blue, also in Flora, and then color number 3 is navy blue in Lima, and then color number 4 is medium grey, I think, in Flora. So most of it's Flora, and I am quite happy with my color choices. I think they work well together, better than I had thought. Almost. It is a bit busy to look at. It's not like some of the other Celestes I've seen with lots of neutrals, and it's like very calming to look at. This is more like in your face. A lot is happening, but I'm happy with it. I think it's going to be great for a child's sweater. The only thing I'm not 100% happy with is the grey, because especially here with the blue you can barely see it. There is a grey like dot in all of this, you can't see it, so that's the one thing I don't love, but I'm quite happy with everything else. But yeah, that is Colorwork. I now more than ever want a Celeste for myself, so it's going to be hard to not get one, but I am holding off. I am decreasing my stash first. I have a lot of other things to get to, but here is the Celeste. It's probably going on hiatus from now, because from now it's just plain stockinette in a round. I have a lot of other things to do that on. Not as exciting, and I didn't really have time to do this in the first place, so hopefully I'll be able to put this on hiatus and not pick it back up. But yeah, that's it. I also learned how to do German short rows, or not learned how to, but tried that for the first time, to do German short rows after the neckline. Usually you do it right around the neckline, but here of course that's full of Colorwork. So for this one you do the German short rows after you're done with the Colorwork, right before you separate for sleeves. So here you can see the length of like the white thing in the front, and here it is in the back. I'm really excited to see how that makes it fit. I've never seen it like that. Super excited about it. I love this, so excited. Yeah. Celeste is fun. It was also just really easy. There aren't any like super big leaps where you have to worry about catching your floats. You only do 2 colors at a time. The bad thing though I can say about this is that there are a lot of ends to weave in because of all of the different colors. I don't want to think about it even. I am not looking forward to it. I think I'll have to like break my rule. I never like to weave in ends as I go. I like to finish a project and then weave in ends. I don't like to weave in ends anyways, but that's the order I like to do it in. But for this one I'll have to weave in ends as I go, because I can't have all of these ends waiting for me, then it will never happen. So hopefully I'll get to a couple ends here and there. But that is the Celeste. And then my last active whip is a test knit that I started on this morning. I just couldn't stop myself. It's so cute. And again, don't know the word in English, but it's a Kosekluten. It's called Kosekluten Petra. And it's a test knit for Meloria by Melange. And here is the first thing I made for that Kosekluten. I'm just going to call it Kosekluten. I think it's like a blanket. It's something babies cuddle with. But here is the first thing. This Kosekluten is going to be with a sheep's head and arms. So here is the head, which I spent so long doing. I frogged so much, especially not frogging, but I unpicked my embroidery maybe 1,000 times because I couldn't be happy with it. And the ears, I did so many mistakes and trying to sew them on so it looks pretty. I did everything a minimum of 3 times, but in the end I'm so happy with how it looks. And now I've started with the like body or the actual Kosekluten of it. So here that is. I'm about halfway. It's going to be this square one, so I'm doing raglan, and then at the end I'm going to sew this on top. here, and then it's also going to have arms out here. So that's just really cute. I don't have a lot to say about this. Maybe it's a fun project. I really recommend projects like this. This has been finicky. It's not usually my favorite thing to do, with a lot of sewing and embroidery and sewing things together in the end. I don't usually do that. I don't choose projects where you have to do that, but this is too cute not to, so I'm going to do it for this one, and I'm probably going to make multiples like this one, and I recommend it. It's great for scrap yarn. All of this is scrap yarn that I am trying to get rid of anyways, and it's just really fun. And even though it's finicky, it did go by rather quickly because I started this morning and it is already done. It's probably going to be done today. And it's just so rewarding and so cute. I can't stop looking at it, especially this part. I'm just looking at this all the time, so this gets no attention and will never be done because I just keep looking at this. Usually when I knit like stuffed animals, stuffed different things, I'm never quite happy with them. But this one I am actually happy with. I will take no criticism. I'm just happy with it. I think it turned out really cute. I'm super excited. I'm probably going to be gifting this away. My family and friends are starting to have babies again, and I can't wait to knit them all the different cute baby garments and items, and this is definitely going to be on all of the gifts list. It's super cute, and I'll definitely let you know when the pattern releases. I don't know if it will be in English. The designer is Norwegian, but I'll let you know either way, and you could probably get through it with Google Translate if it's only in Norwegian. But those are my active projects, all of them, all 7 of them. I want to say all but some of them are done soon, but that's not really true. The Kosekluten is done soon. The last project is done soon. Other than that, everything is halfway or less than halfway, so I'm going to have a lot of whips for a while. Hopefully, maybe I won't cast on something else. I probably will, because all of my projects are also big. I don't have anything really small, like the Celeste is kind of small, but everything is kind of big. So probably going to keep casting on, but also probably going to focus on some of the bigger ones so I get somewhere. But I also have a couple of finished projects this week. And first up is a project I finished right after the last podcast, and that's these Sunday socks. I almost forgot about these because they have lived in the freezer, because my aunt, which I got the skeins for these socks from, had moths in her stash. She realized that after I got the yarn. And I don't want moths, so these have been living in the freezer, but I've gotten them out now. I don't know what to do. They've been in the freezer for about a week. Should I put them back? Is that enough? Should I like make them warm and then put them back in? I don't know. But these are Sunday socks. They're in size 24 to 25, I think. They're really cute. I love Sunday socks. Sunday socks for all sizes, both adult and children. They are my favorite thing to do and to make when it comes to socks. I don't like to make any other socks, but Sunday socks I actually really enjoy to make. I also think they are really cute and really functional, or what's it called? Practical. I love them. I also love these colors together. I think they're probably going to be part of the birthday gift I'm making for my twin cousins, because these are for my twin cousins if I didn't say, but I don't know what else to make for the birthday gift. This is not enough since the yarn is from their mother. I know they want some slip suits, but that is a lot of work for 2 now toddlers, and I don't have the yarn, so I would have to get the yarn, and I'd also have less than a month, so I don't know about that. I might just do socks and a hat and maybe mittens, or socks and a hat and a sweater this time, and then some slip suit will come later. I don't know, but these are my first finished projects. I haven't woven in the ends because I have forgotten about them in the freezer. But that's where my week started in terms of finished projects. And then the next one was because I've been really into stash busting this week. It's been all I've been thinking about, and I don't know if I want to unravel this, but this is another one of the the Sophie shawls. This is the 4th one in line, and this is a bit modified because I did not have enough yarn for one of the lengths in the pattern. The smallest one I was 20-30 grams shy of, but I know that for the other Sophie shawls I've made in the smaller size, I haven't used that much more than 100 grams, which is what this is. This is 100 grams, so I knew that I wouldn't get that much smaller Sophie shawl out of it, so I decided to just go for it. And it turned out great. It is very practical still. It isn't that much smaller, so I think it will still be a great gift, maybe for someone who doesn't want to have a lot of shawl around their neck. And one thing I am really proud of is that I've woven in all of the ends, and it's even washed. I did a pink wash this week with all of my pink wool, so all of the projects that were pink that I hadn't woven in ends for, I have woven in ends for throughout the week. I don't know how many it was, but it did take me half an evening, almost the whole evening, but I did get through both the projects I made this week and all of the ones in my bucket of shame, so I feel really great about that. And then the next project I made is this. I had one whole skein of alpaca wool left that I didn't know what to do with. It was only 50 grams, I couldn't do a Sophie shawl, so I looked a bit around. I pretty soon figured out that I wanted to make a hat with it because that is the easiest thing to make and most likely to only take 50 grams. And I found this hat, the Uværslua, which I also made for my son earlier a couple of weeks ago, which I love. It's such a great fit, amazing hat. And the next to smaller size, 3 to 6 months, only takes 50 grams. And it takes almost exactly 50 grams. I wouldn't have a lot left over of the skein either. So I decided to cast that on almost immediately. And I did, and I'm really happy with it. I love how it looks. I love that I got a practical item out of my scrap yarn. I prefer that to making ornaments or something else, something like very clearly scrappy. I love when I get like actual garments out of it. And I think it ended up taking me 45 grams and the scarf took like 95. So with the small scraps that were left, I just put them into here immediately. So now my stash is 100% free from alpaca wool. I've used it all. For this one, I've also woven in all of the ends and washed it. So this is good to go. It's in my gift drawer now, ready to be given away when I next get the opportunity. But those 3 projects are the projects I did this week. I'm really happy with everything I've been working on and how well I've been stash busting, even though I set the goal only last week. It's made a noticeable dent in my scrap yarn shelf downstairs already. I know I have a lot more, but it's been nice to just clear away some of it and also try to get through as much of my stash as possible. Now I would normally do a segment where I weave in ends, but my sister just got into town. She's studying in a different city and she's here this weekend, so I want to spend time with her. And I also feel good that I wove in ends throughout the week, so this week I'm not going to do the weaving in ends segment. So this is where I'm going to end off. I hope you had a good time watching. I hope you thought it was fun. If you did, please leave a like and a comment. That means the world to me. And if you want to see more from me, please subscribe. Bye!